The White House says President Donald Trump is considering a range of options to take control of Greenland and has not ruled out the use of military action. Other alternatives include buying Greenland from Denmark, because Greenland is part of that kingdom, or forming a free association with the territory. Greenland and Denmark have called for urgent talks with the US to, quote, clear up certain misunderstandings, repeating their standing position that Greenland is not for sale. Top US aide Stephen Miller earlier dismissing Danish sovereignty, saying nobody would challenge the US military might in the event of it being deployed for annexation of Greenland. Donald Trump, in his first term, being explicit in his intentions to take over Greenland, reviving calls in his return to office in his second term, describing control of the territory as, quote, an absolute necessity for national security. Mr. Trump also pointing to the need to counter Russian and Chinese presence in the region and argue that Denmark has not done enough to protect US troops that are stationed there. Around 150 Americans are permanently stationed at the Pituffik Space Base. It's down from around 6,000 during the Cold War. Experts say the base has traditionally been pivotal in monitoring Russian submarines traversing the Arctic Passage. Nestled between the US and Europe, Greenland sits astride the so-called Guyuk Gap as a naval choke point that links the Arctic to the Atlantic Ocean. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has said that a US takeover would mean the end of the North Atlantic Alliance. Washington and Copenhagen are both NATO members. Denmark has previously rejected Mr. Trump's assertion that it is not able to protect its former colony. Will Denselow for CNN joins us live from Brussels. Will, we have seen European leaders trying to form a common position on what to do with this threat from Mr. Trump, but it still needs to protect Greenland's sovereignty while also ensuring ties with the US stay on track.
It's certainly a balancing act for European powers, considering the closeness of this relationship with the United States, and they're dealing with a fellow NATO member. We've heard a little earlier, speaking on French radio, from the French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot, who said that he was having conversations with his German and Polish counterparts on what exactly the plan should be should the United States follow up on its threats, assertions that it plans to take Greenland by some way or the other. This comes as Nordic powers have released a joint statement where they said they are collectively committed to what they describe as the security, stability and cooperation in the Arctic region. They say that they're doing the most that could be done to bolster defence and deterrence in this region. So really trying to offset these concerns expressed by the Trump administration that the US needs to take control of Greenland for national security and that the European Union needs to give it to Washington as well. These comments from Nordic allies very much mirror those we've heard from a number of other European powers in a joint statement released a little earlier this week as well, calling for the collective security of the Arctic region. Also, a strong message in this statement from a number of leaders this week, essentially saying that the principles of the UN Charter and international law must be upheld, especially when it comes to the inviolability of a sovereign state. They say that any decision made about Greenland must be up to Greenlanders to decide for themselves.
Thanks. Will Denselow there, covering developments live for CNA from Brussels.